You hear that Elon Musk, and thus by association Donald Trump, are going to Fort Knox in order to make sure the gold is still there. Do you hear about that? We are appealing to a very niche community of conspiracy theorists. I guess this would be like the gold reserve type people, or the people who think that like we shouldn't have done a fiat currency. We are in medieval times, man. Yeah. See if the gold is still there. Trump says Elon will be looking at Fort Knox. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says there's an audit every year and that all the gold is present accounted for. Even their own Treasury Secretary is like, come on, guys. Like, what are you doing? But is it? In reality, like, I'm pretty sure that the removal of any gold from Fort Knox would automatically trigger a tactical nuclear strike to your location. They would just get the irradiated gold back from your dust. It's because they don't have object permanence. No. This ties back to a bunch of like older conspiracy theories about fiat currency and like the Nixon administration, about how the last time America had real currency was when the dollar was backed by gold. And since then, the move to fiat currency has been like a delegitimization of our currency and of our economy. And what they're trying to do is like, they're appealing to the conspiracy theorists who think that all this is being done as part of like a grand scheme to heist the money, basically, because it's no longer as accountable or trackable. By the way, you guys do know that Elon is probably going to discover discrepancies here, right? The same way he's discovered discrepancies with Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security and USA and every single other thing that he's looked at, because he's stupid and it's politically advantageous for him to pretend that he's found something wrong. Because you have to manufacture crises to justify. You have to keep like a permanent state of hysteria to justify the insane shit you're doing. He'll say the gold looked small. Just Elon, this like marching up and down the halls, you know, giving like an approving look to every gold bar and bullion he sees, as though he's capable of assessing anything. 147.3 million ounces of gold. Let's see. So about half the Treasury stored gold is kept at Fort Knox. Neat. The gold's book value is $42.22 per ounce. Book value. Well, it's not being sold in the open market. What was that? Its value back when Nixon made us a fiat currency or something? It's like 100 times that now. I could buy so much gold. Yeah, you got to do the heist. You got to pull like what was it? What was the Bond film? It was Goldfinger, right? Where Goldfinger was going to blow up Fort Knox and irradiate the gold forever. Because that would make the gold that he owns more valuable because you could no longer use that gold. The funny thing is that if he actually did irradiate all the gold in Fort Knox, you know what they do? They just have all the employees who supervise it wear lead suits and keep on going. Because it's not being exchanged for anything. It's not entering the economy. It's just like, they would just be like, all right, well, that's inconvenient. Keep it going. You can't irradiate gold? That sounds wrong to me, but maybe you can't? Because it's like well... You could, skill issue. I could irradiate it.
They're planning to make cuts too.
Well, I think we're going to take in tremendous tariff money. Number one, and number two, you take a look at Doge and you see what's happening. We're saving billions of dollars.
On Doge, do you know what they're looking at specifically at the Department of Defense right now?
Yeah, they're looking at everything.
And are they going to cut more national security?
We're going to go into Fort Knox to make sure the gold is there.
Are they going to?
You know that we're going to go into Fort Knox. Do you know about that?
Sir,
That was that bad bump.
Are they going to eliminate more national security positions?
Yeah. It's important to understand how like a particular kind of conspiracy theorist is obsessing over this. Hold on, I've just pulled 2 random videos talking about this and I'm hoping they're crazy, like for content reasons. Does this have a voiceover or is it just going to be music?
Are questioning
A
new wave of speculation.
Sorry, I should have read that one. The Biden administration stole $20 billion in gold for him and his friends. Gitmo, all of them. Where's the justice? Audit Fort Knox.
A new wave of speculation has taken over social media, raising concerns about whether all the gold stored in Fort Knox is still there. Users on social media platform X.
Oh, hold on one second. From U.S. Homeland Security News, a real organization. It's time for Elon and Doge to conduct a full audit of every ounce of gold. It's our money. No audit has been conducted since 1974, almost 50 years ago. That's just a lie. But it has a, blue check, so I believe it.
Stored in Fort Knox is still there. Users on social media platform X are questioning whether some of the gold has been sold or moved. Even Elon Musk recently posted a cryptic meme on this. Notably, this comes amid banks shifting gold from England to the United States. Adding fuel to the fire, billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk has joined the conversation, questioning whether regular audits of Fort Knox are conducted.
I often think I'm dumb, then I look inside conservative spaces for 5 seconds. Yeah, it's good for the ego. Also, not to like fuel any racist tendencies in chatters who aren't as woke as me, but does anyone else kind of find it funny that basically everything on the right online is Indian? Like, if there's some insane Nazi schizo posting and you can't directly ascertain that the person posting it is white, there's a very good chance that it's some insane, like, Hindu nationalist who's super, super invested in American politics because they want their Hitlerite tendencies to be respected by their white brethren or whatever. Like, this happens so often, man.
His comment, made in response to a post by financial news outlet Zero Hedge, sparked even greater curiosity. Zero Hedge claimed that no public audit has been conducted in nearly 50 years.
Why do they keep the gold if it's not being traded? Because it's a reserve. If you hold a significant portion of the world's gold, like you have that as a reserve. You know, stuff's traded off it.
Musk recently posted on X suggesting to do a live video walkthrough of Fort Knox. Republican Senator Rand Paul quickly chimed in, supporting the call for an audit. The debate over Fort Knox gold reserves has also drawn in former Congressman Ron Paul, who had previously raised doubts about the true amount of gold held at the facility. He had argued that the US government asked the public. Over the years, Fort Knox has housed more than just a response to public gold from England to the United States, the reason for which could be whether the rumors hold any truth remains to be seen.
Yeah, okay. What about this other one? Breaking news. Elon Musk to audit the gold at Fort Knox?
Just a few days ago, Elon Musk tweeted about gold, and it looks like there might be an upcoming audit of the gold at Fort Knox. I've got all of the tweets. I'm going to get you up to speed on this. And then I want to look at this confidential letter from the Reserve Bank of Australia exposing the fact that some of the gold bars held at the Bank of England were proven to be fake. Are there fake gold bars here in America as well? Let's get into it. Buy your gold and silver online from SD Bullion. New customers get gold or silver at spot by visiting sdbullion.com/new. Thank you so much for watching. I do sincerely
don't
appreciate
endorse
it.
this content.
Here is the post on X or the tweet.
Man, we're really going down the rabbit hole today. This is literally what the Fort Knox thing is for. This is literally who it's for. It's the only people who cares about this.
Kind of kickstarted all of this drama. So it was put out by Zero Hedge. They are sort of a libertarian financial blog, if you will.
So are all of these accounts just reading tweets from right-wingers now? Like, I don't know why I asked that. The answer is yes.
They've been talking about gold and silver for 1970 tweets. You can see here over 500,000 views. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hey, so breaking news. Elon Musk, just this afternoon, tweeted out, posted out on X, surely the gold in Fort Knox is audited every year. I would reckon to think Elon already knows the answer. Gold has not been audited. The U.S. gold has not been audited since...
It's genuinely is, like, very crazy how low IQ the infotainment space for the right is. Like, the reason why they act the way they do is because they consume shit like this 24/7. They don't watch TV, movies, they don't have hobbies or interests, they don't talk to their kids or their family, they don't go out and date people. They literally just nonstop consume all of this because they're trying to get an edge up on the rest of society when the collapse happens. Just like the most antisocial, low-trust society stuff possible.
Since 1974, that's right. 50 years. Insane amount of gold has been flown from all over the world, but in predominantly out of London. And they are draining the supply of gold all throughout the world. And now there's shortages, delays, everything. So a couple questions.
What?
Is it that the U.S. didn't have enough gold here in time for the audit? And that's quite possible. Definitely quite possible. Some of the U.S.'s gold could have easily been stored over in the Bank of England. Could they be getting ahead So perhaps they're topping up to where they need to be, and perhaps they're getting ahead. Again, we've been talking about that.
What?
Challenging what's happening with the BRICS countries, in particular China, who's been just gold piling for the last few years. So is this the U.S. kind of resurging again?
What?
We've been talking about on our X channel that there's no doubt that central banks are deleveraging as we speak, which means they have a combination of their fiat currency, debt, and then how much gold is on their balance sheets.
What?
The debt has expanded so much, nothing really makes sense. And now
I
they're
agree.
starting to grow their gold.
I guess like you can't even debunk it. This literally doesn't mean anything. Nothing that he said means anything. These are like unconnected. None of this means anything. Like it might as well have been written by like ChatGPT 1. It's just, dude, nobody in the conspiracy circles, none of them ever actually make claims anymore. They just notice things and say, isn't that interesting? It's so up. It's like made them a lot more boring, you know? Literally, yeah, curious, concerning, blah blah. Come on, give me something to work with.
Up again.
After Josh put out that video, a lot of people started commenting, you know, what if the gold is not there? What if there's no gold in Fort Knox? And before he could put out another response video, we had this tweet from Rand Paul.
But why?
So
why would there be no gold in Fort Knox? Why would they do that? Why though? They never explain why. I want a theory. I want a conspiracy theory. I don't just want a what if.
He's replying to Elon Musk. Elon saying, surely it's reviewed at least every year. Rand Paul says, nope, let's do it. So many of you know Rand Paul has been trying to audit Fort Knox for a very long time. Will he now be teaming up with Elon to actually get this audit going? Later that day, we see different news outlets start to pick up the story. We have the headline from this article here. Elon Musk encouraged to crack open Fort Knox and audit the 425 billion gold reserves inside, and Rand Paul wants to help. And here's another article. Doge prepares gold reserve.
It's literally just like reading social media. It's like this guy tweeted about it. This article talked about it. This guy on Instagram talked about it. Make a theory.
Check this one out.
A lot of people say the gold's not there.
I need to find a theory.
What happens when the audit shows that there is no gold there? And while that's quite the possibility, I don't think Trump likes to fail at pretty much anything, and neither does Elon. And I'm going with firsthand experience here, firsthand knowledge. They have been flying gold into the United States,
oh my God,
out of Europe, and mainly London. I know this for a fact. On almost every flight starting before Christmas.
Every flight from London to the United States has had like a secret gold compartment.
Flights, typically a passenger flight, they'll spread the gold out, roughly 4 tons of gold.
Oh my God, I was joking. I thought he was just speaking ineptly and he just meant like specific like treasure flights or like private flights that were carrying over a reserve. Not, okay, sure. It's
I'll let
not
you guys
a bit.
do the math. Roughly
There's your theory.
32,000 ounces
I asked for a
per
theory.
pallet. They'll spread that out across the cargo. If the plane is full, as most of it was leading up to Christmas because of holiday travel, they could only get 2 tons. So if almost every single flight has that much gold coming in, and I know this firsthand from all the armed carriers. Guys, I work with these companies. I know them. In fact, one of them is going to be leasing space for me in my new facility in Wyoming, and handling gold coming in from both Europe for clients coming in.
He's got
and
insider
out.
knowledge.
So I know this firsthand. So this amount of gold has been coming here. A lot of us, including myself, started noticing the exchange for physical premium that the banks were allowing, given a premium to bring the gold to the United States. Most of us thought it was only EFP, was only for tariff reasons. While that is 100% correct, we broke it on this X. If you've been following,
he's got to be a grifter. There is a like sublime blend of grifter and mental illness that permeates the conspiracy theory community, and I think lately it's been leaning way the fuck more towards grifter, because you used to not be able to make as much money off of it. Back in the 1990s, you kind of had to be a true believer, because why the fuck else would you tank your own life in your social circle by doing this?
us the beginning of February saying that, hey, this is repatriation.
Dude,
which means
this channel's content stealing, man. This guy's lifting these videos up wholesale. Holy shit, I thought I was lazy. Fun fact, Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution states only gold and silver can be used as American currency. They did that because they didn't want the government and or private banks to be able to tax the population through inflation. This is real, nodders. There may no longer be any politician apostrophes left after everything gets investigated. I need to find, like...
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this looks like it is
Depressed
the
ginger.
most transparent administration in U.S. history.
Yo!
And now Doge and Elon Musk have taken it a step forward and said, we might be live streaming going into Fort Knox.
Oh yeah, dude. I bet they're gonna live stream that process. Oh yeah. Just me casually live streaming my way through Fort Knox security.
Because there hasn't been an audit done since 1974, an official one. They say they send people down there every few years to look around, but there hasn't been an official audit done of the gold reserves, the U.S. reserves within Fort Knox since 74. And so they're saying, why not just live stream it for the people? You've got Rand Paul, who originally back during Trump's first administration said he was going to be given access. It never ended up happening. Ron Paul has wanted it audited. Okay. It wastes resources, but when you're being able to build new relationships and build himself back up, even though they thought the exact opposite was going to happen because that was coming off of January 6th. It's really crazy how it's reportedly been valued at $425 billion.
Okay, he's just reading the article. USA just purchased 100,000 cans of gold spray paint. Okay, that's funny. I like that. This is how America should be. Okay, what about this one? This could happen if Elon finds no gold in Fort Knox. I don't know what this face is meant to be. Like shock or like contemplative or thinking.
What if there's no gold sitting in Fort Knox right now? I'm sure many of you have already read articles, watched videos, and read tweets on X about what's going on with Doge and auditing of Fort Knox. And this all started a few days ago, just in case you've been living under a rock and haven't seen it yet. It all starts with this tweet right here from Zero Hedge, who tagged Elon Musk and said it would be great if Elon Musk would take a look inside Fort Knox just to make sure the 4,580 tons of US gold is there. Last time I...
Oh, you found the Depressed Ginger Twitter account? Turns out it's another DEI plane crash situation after libs took a victory lap saying Trump was to blame. Wow. Just read the replies under this tweet about black crime rates. Amazing. Yeah, of course. Dude, all of these gold channels are like Nazi or fascist. There is like a borderline one-to-one overlap here. Also, as always, pussy shit, you know? Just say what you're going to say, man. Bro, people are going to be so triggered when they hashtag notice who, what religion of people are on the Biden cabinet. Just say Jews. Why are you all bitches? It's Elon's Twitter. You're not going to get in trouble. Tedious. Anyway.
Anyone looked was 50 years
Oh, here's
ago,
the Zero Edge
1974,
tweet again.
To which Elon replies, surely the previous audits, including the one in 1974 that everyone keeps referring to, but I'm also going to talk about what would happen if that gold wasn't there. Or even worse, what if the gold was there, but some of it was fake? Will they even be able to test that? Is there a way to verify it? You know, can Elon do that with a walkthrough? Will he do it live? Well, let's talk about all of that in today's video. But really quick, do me a favor, don't forget to like and subscribe and help us continue to grow. My channel is sponsored by SDBullion.com.
Oh yeah.
New customers can get their first order. Fort Knox wasn't even in 1974. You see, the audit that everyone refers to for 1974 was actually just a small partial audit where they allowed some Treasury officials and some journalists to come in and inspect a small portion of the gold. They didn't even see the entire site, and it wasn't a full audit. According to this article on investingnews.com, it actually says that the last known full audit of Fort Knox's gold reserves occurred in 1953, not 1974. And then it goes on to tell you what I just did about the 1974 partial audit with the journalists and officials, and then goes on to then say that since then, the facility has maintained strict no visitor policies with limited oversights of its holdings. Now, if we scroll down a little bit here, it says, while the U.S. Department of Treasury maintains that the gold remains intact, the absence of recent independent audits has led to speculation. The issue gained renewed attention after Australia discovered counterfeit gold in the Bank of England's reserves. Yes, you heard that right. Counterfeit gold in the reserves of the Bank of England, raising concerns about the authenticity of stored bullion worldwide. red. Now, we can talk about the possibility of there being fake gold in a second, but I wanted to first share with you this little tidbit that I found online that supports what we just read. And I'll start with the top of it, which kind of says what I said.
This seems a little bit more well-researched than the other stuff that we've seen, right? Like, this seems... I feel like I'm watching more of a video and less of like an AI slop something, right?
About 1953, but it says it was shortly after President Eisenhower took office. It goes on to say, however, this audit was not comprehensive by modern standards. It only checked a small percentage of the gold and wasn't conducted by independent third parties. Then it goes on to say that the U.S. Treasury and Mint have claimed that gold audits have been conducted in stages over time, with the last major verification reportedly completed in 2011. However, no full, independent, publicly transparent audit of Fort Knox's gold reserves has ever been conducted in modern times. Now,
can anyone like imagine why that would be the case? Like, it's an incomprehensibly large warehouse full of like just an ungodly amount of, but in weight, in volume, gold. Like, what are you going to do? Measure every brick? Like, usually audits of a thing aren't full audits for the same reason that when the like the food inspector comes in to check a restaurant, they don't usually like dig up the grout between the tiles to look at underneath each one to make sure that there's no like hole bored by rats or whatever, you know? Usually you try to get like a representative sample. A fully transparent... Elon just took the page at the stage at CPAC. I can't look at that right now. Let me have my fun for a second, okay?
Now, keep in mind, everything I'm sharing with you is just stuff that I've learned by doing my own research online over the last couple of days since this whole story broke. But just looking at what we've seen so far, with the fact that there's not even been a full audit in modern times, is mind-blowing. Even the one in 1953, according to that last article, was not full and comprehensive compared to what we would see today. So yes, I believe 100% that Fort Knox needs to be audited. But what about that fake gold in England? Well, take a look at this. This tweet on X comes from Senator Gerard Rennick, and he says, and by the way, if you don't recognize his name, that's because he's a senator out of Queensland, Australia. He says the Bank of England should also be audited. They've been caught holding fake gold bars with duplicate serial numbers in the past. If one central bank is holding dodgy gold, how many others are? Very good question. And he also shared this right here. The sad thing is that the RBA, knowing this, still refuses to take Australia's gold out of the Bank of England vaults and bring it home. And then he shares this down here. It looks like a strictly confidential letter from the Reserve Bank of Australia. And, you know, there's a lot here. We're not going to read it all, but they did highlight the important part right here. It says the existence of fake gold bars has been detected in the past by the presence of duplicate refiner serial numbers. Now, what he said in this tweet is very concerning if you think about it. He said,
wouldn't that mean there's more gold than they say if there's duplicates? Well, presumably that would be fake gold, but you have to keep track of everything, right? I wonder if that's just an accounting error. That'd be a pretty huge fuck up if that's the case. I love not learning what happens if the gold is missing. Yeah, I want to learn what happens if the gold is missing.
That if there are fake gold bars in the bank...
I mean, the funny thing, or I guess like the funniest thing about all of this is the fact that it doesn't actually matter because gold reserves aren't what we base our currency on anymore. Like, they're being held as just that, a reserve. They're not the basis for our currency. We have a fiat currency. Nowadays, our currency is backed on trust in the U.S. government, which, you know, however you feel about that, that is what it is currently based on. This is not... We have reserves of a lot of stuff.
Of England's vaults, how many other world reserves out there? How many other gold reserves? Does Fort Knox have fake gold bars as well? That is something that's very concerning to think about. And to be 100% honest with you, I don't even know what the logistics would be to be able to test all the gold bars in Fort Knox, assuming that they're there in the first place. Maybe there's only a couple and it'd be very easy. But let's move on from that and take a look at this tweet here by Elon. He said it would be cool to do a live video walkthrough of Fort Knox. He, of course, posted this a couple of days ago. And that would be very interesting. You know, there was a couple of replies to this, though. I was kind of reading. I wanted to show you. I was scroll down just like 3. And this one from Space Volva from the future says, seems kind of private, though. Does the public need to know everything? Yes, we do need to know if that gold is there. You see, that gold is owned by the U.S. Department of the Treasury, which is a portion of the federal government. The federal government is funded by who? By us, by federal tax.
Well, okay, but like, just to hypothetically engage with this argument, aren't there lots of portions of government spending we don't fully know about? Like, obviously, all the details of Pentagon spending, even if they could complete an audit, which they never have been able to, wouldn't be made known to us, right? Or wouldn't there be, like, some things you'd want to know about the gold reserves, but other things you don't really need to know? Like, do you need to know every detail of what's going on in Fort Knox? Like every, I don't know, security detail procedure or the way in which they conduct their audits all the time, full transparency? I mean, I guess you could. From my side of things, I guess I'm mostly just kind of interested in like how this matters and what it means. It's a very secure building, you know?
Taxpayers, and those taxpayers absolutely should know where the gold that we are being told is there, where the strategic reserve of gold that the government claims that we 100% have a right to know if it's there. So yes, absolutely, we should know. But I will admit that knowing may not necessarily be the best thing, assuming that knowing means that we know that the gold's not there. So while I do admit, and I will not change my opinion, I think 100% that the audit should happen and that the American taxpayers deserve to know if that gold is actually sitting there. If it's not actually there, if we do the audit and that gold is not where it's supposed to be, if that gold's not there, or even if half of it's gone, I think that's not going to be very good for the U.S. economy, for the American people.
That's it?
And here's why.
Okay.
So even though our gold has not backed our dollar for many, many decades, that gold and the fact that the government has such a large amount of gold in its reserves instills confidence in the U.S. economy, and believe it or not, a little bit even in the US dollar. Now, of course, the US dollar has been in a downward death spiral for decades as a result of going off of the gold standard.
Total death spiral. Average like 2.5% inflation per year. Global reserve currency. Strongest economy in the history of the world. Total death spiral ever since we got off the gold standard.
And going off of the gold standard has created an affordability crisis like none we've ever seen. It still is there and instilling a little bit of confidence in the US economy. If we find out that that gold's not there, I think that the confidence that is currently in the dollar is going to plummet even further. It may actually cause our dollar to collapse. Now, I'm not a fear-mongering channel, and I'm not here to fear-monger you into that, but I really do think that it's going to be a major, major blow to the U.S. economy if that gold is not there. Alternatively, there will be people absolutely looking at alternative assets to get their dollars into something else. So I think the value of gold and even silver will rise, and a lot. I think that even cryptocurrency will be looked at as a way to get the heck out of the US dollar. So I think you'll see a massive influx into things like Bitcoin and Ethereum and some of the bigger cryptocurrencies. I think those will see a massive swing upward as well. Basically, you're going to see people not having any confidence in the dollar. And while the people that have gold and silver are going to be protected, at least
this guy's hoarding gold. Well, yeah, of course. Like he literally has a sponsorship with it. But these are, again, like these are the aforementioned low trust society individuals that basically guarantee social collapse, you know? Like people like this are literally taking bets on the collapse of the economy. Not for any kind of broader, like, you know, fascism needs to be stopped sort of way, but in a like they are inventing phony economic theories to legitimize the I guess like the perceived necessity of their hoarding and accumulation in the hopes that everyone's life can be made worse in a way that benefits them. You know?
Somewhat. It's not going to be good for the overall U.S. economy. It's not going to be good for our trade deals with other countries. It's not going to be good for what our dollar is able to buy. I mean, if that gold's not there, I could 100% see the value of the dollar having, or even more, overnight. Everything that's already so expensive is going to be even more expensive because, as I've already said, even though our dollar is not backed by that gold and the fact that the U.S.
I wish they were this enthusiastic about closing tax loopholes. Yeah. This is, again, like, you know, these people don't actually care about grift or graft or the stability of the dollar because they never, ever, ever want to go after tax cheats, ever. They never talk about that. They don't give a fuck about that because they see the economy as a dying beast that they're ready to exploit, and they applaud other wealthy people, or just, even if they're not wealthy, but they applaud wealthy people for doing their best to do the same thing. Like, oh yeah, man, of course, obviously, you know, got to get ahead.
Is supposed to have it still instills confidence in our economy and our dollar and in everything that we do here in the U.S. So it would also bring in the question, what about the other gold reserves in the U.S.? What about the gold reserves in New York? Are they what they're supposed to be? Is everything there that's supposed to be there still there? Is it all there? I mean, sure, some of it's there. Is it all there, though? Is all of it real? I mean, we can look back at the tweet from the Australian senator who said that they found fake gold bars in the England Reserve Bank. Is that happening here? There's a lot of things to think about. And
I miss going over stuff like this. I can't believe this is our presidency now. The gold is not there, and it's there. Schrodinger. That's pretty true.